Welcome all, my name is Sydney, and today I'm going to start the first of what I assume will be many book reviews. So today I'm going to be reviewing Renegades by Marissa Meyer. Let me tell you something about this book. Okay, full disclosure, I have never read any of the Lunar Chronicles books. Well, I stumbled through Cinder, didn't finish it. I think I was just reading it at the wrong time because I've heard such good things about it. This, however, I absolutely adored. If you just want a little summary of the book, basically you have Nova and Adrian. Nova is an anarchist, which means she's the villain of the story, but you are following her most of the story. And then you have Adrian, who is a renegade. The renegades are like the superheroes. And basically this book is about Nova, who is an anarchist, and the anarchists were battled into submission by the renegades on something they call the Day of Triumph. It was where good won over evil, basically. And Nova is the niece of the main villain that was killed on the Day of Triumph. So she is going out for revenge against the renegades, but also for different reasons. I would have to give this book 4 out of 5 stars. The only reason it's not 5 stars for me is because I couldn't exactly tell what was going on. It was hard for me to paint the scenes in my mind. That's really all I have to say about it. Not a huge complaint. It was honestly so good. And now this is the time where I'm probably going to talk more explicitly and openly about it, which means there is a spoiler warning ahead. All right, yes, so if you have not read it, you should probably leave now. Okay, I finished this on New Year's Eve at like 7 p.m. before a party, and I was just freaking out. So I'm just gonna cover some of the main points. First of all, this book is apparently the first in a duology. I'm scared. I'm scared knowing that the next book, everything is going to be tied up. It's gonna be done, because I tell you what, I really liked Nova as our protagonist, antagonist, main character. I liked that she was so driven. So many times in YA, you see protagonists getting swayed to a different side. I don't know if that's just me, but I see that a lot, and I really liked seeing that when she thought about like straying from the path that she was assigning herself to, she completely talked herself out of it. Like, she put to rest any thought of being with Adrian, which brings me to that. It took me a good 10 chapters for me to realize that Adrian wears glasses. Actually, in this copy of Renegades that I bought, she takes one of the chapters, I think it was the trial chapter, and she made a note, like you see all these, she made a note that says like she's a sucker for guys who wear glasses. And I was just like, what? Adrian has glasses? And I know that she probably paints a good picture of what he looks like, but I don't remember what he looks like. I know that Nova has dark hair and blue eyes, and she's shorter? But Adrian, I don't remember. I think he's like tan. I think he has dark hair, and he wears glasses. I don't know. I kind of pictured him to be light-skinned. And honestly, if that's what she was going for, great, because yes, diversity, but I don't know. He looks better in my head when he's a light skin. I can't picture him white. Second of all, I want to know how it was not possible for them to realize who each of them were. Adrian was the Sentinel. I say the Sentinel. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. And then Nova over here is freaking Nightmare. They are like hunting each other, and yet they are right here about to have a freaking relationship. Like, they almost kissed. It's just so stupid, because the only time that they don't see each other, the villain shows up or the hero shows up. Is that not like a little confusing and weird? Like, the fact that when Adrian is so worried about Nova, she's gone, and Nightmare is standing face to face with him. Like, do they not understand each other's voice? Like, let's say I'm Nova. If I'm starting to like Adrian, I'm going to know his voice and his sound when he walks into a room. You can't possibly tell me that she could not hear his voice when the Sentinel was talking. I just don't see how that works, but at the same time I do, just because it's their personal threat and they're not focused on the voice, they're focused on the mode of attack, I guess. I don't know, it's probably just me, but that's something that kind of bothered me, and it was just like playing hide and seek, and then they would just come back, and it was just odd. All right, now I need to talk about the ending. I may come back to other characters, but just right now, I gotta get to the ending. Oh my Jesus. I did not expect Ingrid to be killed. I did not expect Ingrid to die, but the fact that Nova killed her? What? I don't understand. I figured that they were gonna be like the best friend duo that was like, I really liked their friendship, but then the whole thing with the librarian and the bombs in the library, and I was just like, Ingrid, what the mess are you doing? My theory is that because I thought they were going to be such a good friendship, I think she was just getting jealous that she was spending time with Adrian and the Renegades. I don't know. I just didn't think that blowing up a library and threatening children's lives was a smart choice. I didn't think that was good. And at the end, in the fun house, was it the fun house? I'm telling you, the whole amusement park thing, I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know where they were. There was a bunch of floorboards breaking and Nova was like hiding out and getting dressed as Nightmare underneath, and then she came back up and I was just like, what the mess is like going on anymore? So yeah, Ingrid dies and I was just like, okay, did Nova shoot her because was it something like how Ingrid shot the librarian when he was totally about to rat Nova out? I guess she's sort of protecting her own self, saving her skin. All right, now I want to talk about phobia, still going along with the end. I knew from the second that whoever it was talking about Adrian's mom when she died. Lady Indomitable, glorified for her work for the Renegades, and it says that she could fly, but she died because she fell out of a building, and everyone was like, she got pushed, but if she got pushed, she'd be able to fly. I just inherently knew that it was phobia because it talked about her face was etched into a scream. Phobia had to have been it because, you know, he's terrifying. He's literally turning into fears. So I just knew it was phobia. Here it is. So she's starting to think that she might regret shooting Ingrid, and he's just like, you know, these doubts, these insecurities, they will come to serve you well, Nightmare. After all, one cannot be brave who has no fear. Especially because the quote had to deal with fear, and he is the embodiment of everyone else's fears. When Nightmare started quoting it, you had to have known that for her to get that quote, someone would have had to say that to her, which means that this person was in her life somehow. But that was just my deductive reasoning, and as soon as I read it on the page, I was like screaming. I was like, boy, I guessed it. All right, the ending. Did anyone else think that Ace was alive? Something that I've seen a lot of booktubers talk about, and something that I just go into books knowing, is that if you do not see the actual death of this person, they're probably not dead. For an example, I'm going to say a Red Queen spoiler. Freaking Shade. Shade was not dead. Said he was, because he died in the trenches or whatever. He ain't dead, boy. He ain't dead. Same with Ace Anarchy. You are talking about the prime villain anarchist. There was just no way that he was dead. There wasn't enough detail. Towards the end, it talked about how, you know, the painting of the Day of Triumph that was in like the council area, it had a picture of like his crumpled up body just dead on the ground, and the Renegades were standing around each other like victorious and all. And then there was the helmet. I'm surprised the council couldn't like smell out the sympathy on her for the villain side. If you're a renegade, your job is to hate the anarchists and like rule them out of existence. But she was like obvious, like undercover almost. If that were me, if I were making those decisions, I feel like I would get busted. But she sees the helmet and she sees this picture and she's asking, oh Lord, it's the Dread Warden. She's asking the Dread Warden, she's Simon. She's asking Simon what happened on the Day of Triumph when they killed him. Apparently Ace and Captain Cronium had just blown up 1/3 of a cathedral and another part was on fire, and Captain Cronium had infant Max on his back, which I will talk about in just a minute. Max was like stealing Ace's power, and there was no way to defeat Captain Cronium, and right before Ace could have been killed, he jumped into the fire. That was instantly where I knew that he was not dead. When a character, doesn't matter the height, jumps into this abyss, wherever it is, do you think they're dead? No. You think that they somehow landed on a ledge, broke a bone or something, but survived. This is exactly what happened. And it says that the, what's it called? helmet. The helmet was taken off and they saw his face and he just jumped into the fire. So I'm wondering how he was able to escape and hide when everyone is on the streets and all the renegades are everywhere during the Day of Triumph. So I hope we get to learn more about that in the next book. All right, before I lose track of anything else, I need to talk about Max. I pictured him, let's see, he's an 11-year-old basic white kid. I don't know, I saw him as white. I think he's white. I don't know, he just felt like a really bland character that was hospitalized or quarantined. It just felt weird, and the hazmats that came in to take care of him. But then we find out that it's because he can steal power. When Nova went into his little sanctuary and like fell over and then Adrian came in. That's another thing about how no one found out that she was Nightmare in this book. That made me kind of weird. The fact that no one figured out that Adrian was the Sentinel and Nova was Nightmare. No one figured it out on either side. And the thing is, with Max, he stole Nightmare's power. I'm shocked that Max hasn't touched a nurse and put them to sleep, and he would have known he absorbed Nightmare's power. But who's Nightmare? And if he absorbed any of Adrian's, does that technically mean that he absorbed Sentinel power? I think Max did figure out that Adrian was the Sentinel. And the Sentinel's powers are like inked onto Adrian. So does that mean that those powers inked Max can absorb, or can he not because it was ink? I don't know. But yeah, Max was an interesting character who was really bland to me at first, but I think now he's going to be a little interesting. I felt like Monarch and Queen Bee were the same freaking thing, except happy insect versus the horror insect. You know, when you think of bees and wasps, you think, oh my god, pain. And of course she's an anarchist, but then there are the butterflies that Dana, I'm gonna say Dana, that Dana controls, and then when she got burned in that first fight, she lost a bunch and it was not good. I think that I liked Ruby and Oscar as a duo more than I liked Adrian at some points. I don't know, Adrian was just too focused on figuring out who the heck Nightmare is. I kind of wanted him to just get distracted for a little bit. I think they're a really cute friendship. I honestly kind of ship them more than I ship Adrian and Nova. Everyone loves the forbidden love aspect, but this one just seems kind of doomed. Going into this book knowing that the villains are the heroes and the heroes are the villains, as soon as we got into Renegade headquarters, I just knew that something was going on. The council was kind of odd to me, and for God's sake, it took me over half the book to realize that Tsunami was a girl. I could have sworn to you I thought Tsunami was an Asian man who was just, you know, like surfing USA. But as soon as I knew they were working on something so that if someone rejected their services to the Renegades, they could steal power, I was just like, what the mess, y'all? Like, this is corrupt government. I love how in the side sleeve it talks about how Nova has a reason to hate the Renegades and she's on a mission for vengeance, but Nova's allegiance is to a villain who has the power to end them both. And when you first read this book, you are thinking Phobia. Duh. I think everyone figured that Phobia was going to be the worst villain. He's so unknown, you don't see his face. Honestly, I pictured him as the Grim Reaper. But then you see that Ace is still alive. When she's like, the helmet's not destroyed, they're working on these projects and I'm gonna go back in there, and he just shows up and he's freaking levitating like Max was. I am ready for there to be complete and utter anarchy. I am ready to see what happens when they figure out who each other is. Was that right, grammar? I cannot wait for the day Adrian figures out who Nova really is. To see him go through that thought process of, oh my gosh, I came to possibly love this girl and now she's the one I've been trying to kill for the longest time. I'm really ready for that moment. I'm ready for so many more moments. I am ready for Ace to come back at Captain Cronium and just totally wipe him out this time. If I have one thing left to say about this, it's just that freaking Gargoyle. I hated Gargoyle. I hated Frostbite. I mean, like, as soon as the trial scene was going on, I knew that that witch was gonna try her. Like, what do you mean I'm not accepted? Excuse me. I really liked that she didn't have to use powers to defeat this stone giant. But yes, I just want Honey to be happy and have hives that aren't stepped on. But yes, that is all I have to say about Renegades by Marissa Meyer. And I won't ask you to follow my social media, but I may as well put it up there, you know? Until next time, bye!